Greetings, cozy knights. Lower your swords and rest by the fire. Tonight, we journey through the forged steel and enchanted scales that protect Skyrim's greatest warriors. Drop a comment below and tell me where you're listening from tonight. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next adventure. The Daedric Armor Cap Mystery. Daedric armor requires smithing level 90 to craft, yet it's statistically weaker than dragonplate armor requires level 100. Despite this illogical progression, Bethesda designed Daedric to have a lower armor rating but appear later in leveled lists, suggesting the true power lies in its intimidation factor rather than pure protection values. The Nightingale Leveling Trap. Nightingale armor's stats are permanently locked to whatever level you are when starting the Trinity Restored quest, not when you receive the armor. Many players accidentally trigger this quest at low levels, forever gimping their legendary Thieves Guild armor and forcing them to rely on enchanting to compensate for lost base stats. Dragonplate's hidden weakness. While Dragonplate armor boasts the second highest armor rating in the game, it actually weighs significantly more than Daedric armor per protection point gained. A full Dragonplate set weighs 79 pounds compared to Daedric's 96, but Daedric provides better protection, making Dragonplate objectively less efficient, despite requiring harder to obtain materials and a higher smithing level. The Ebony Mail Poison Cloud. The Ebony Mail, Boethia's Daedric artifact, emits a poison cloud that damages nearby enemies. However, this effect has an unintended consequence that makes sneaking paradoxically harder, since the poison damage alerts enemies to your presence even when you're hidden, turning what should be an assassin's dream into a stealth character's nightmare. Farmer Helmet Exploit. Farmer helmets occupy only the hair slot instead of the full head slot, allowing players to wear them simultaneously with circlets or even dragon priest masks. This oversight creates one of the most powerful armor stacking exploits in vanilla Skyrim, effectively giving players an extra enchantment slot that Bethesda never intended. The Shellbug Chitin Rarity. To craft the superior Shellbug helmet for the Heavy Former set, players need Shellbug Chitin, which only drops from Shellbugs found exclusively in the Dawnguard DLC's Forgotten Vale. Only 3 Shellbugs exist in the entire game, making this helmet one of the rarest craftable items despite its relatively modest stats. Ancient Farmer Armor's True Identity. The Ancient Farmer Armor set found in the Dawnguard DLC was originally called Ivory Armor in Bethesda's creation kit. This internal name suggests the developers initially planned a different aesthetic direction before settling on the Snow Elf theme, and remnants of this original concept can be seen in the armor's white coloration. Deathbrand Set Bonus Scaling. The Deathbrand armor provides increasing bonuses for each piece worn, eventually granting 100 stamina, 60 carry weight, and 40 points to one-handed when wearing the complete set. This makes it the only light armor set in the game with scaling bonuses that can match or exceed heavy armor protection when fully upgraded. The matching set perk bug. For years after Skyrim's release, Ebony armor didn't trigger the matching set perk bonus, despite being a complete set. This bug meant players wearing full Ebony lost out on 25% bonus armor rating until patch 1.9 finally fixed it, though many players never realized they'd been fighting at a disadvantage. Daedric Hearts versus Dragon Materials. Crafting a full set of Daedric armor requires 5 Daedra Hearts, while Dragonplate needs 4 Dragon Bones and 13 Dragon Scales. Since dragons respawn but Daedra Hearts don't without DLC, Dragonplate is technically more sustainable to craft despite appearing later in the smithing tree, creating a strange inverse relationship between difficulty and availability. The wolf armor, invisibility. When wearing wolf gauntlets from the companion's questline, any equipped necklace or amulet becomes completely invisible. This visual bug has persisted through multiple patches and even made it into the special edition, suggesting Bethesda considers it a low priority despite it affecting one of the game's major faction armor sets. Stalrim's Frost Enhancement. Stalrim armor possesses a unique property where frost resistance and frost damage enchantments are 25% stronger when applied to it. This makes Stalrim the only armor material in the game with intrinsic enchantment bonuses, though most players never realize this, since the effect isn't mentioned anywhere in-game. The Thieves Guild questline armor trick. The basic Thieves Guild armor received at the start of the questline can't be improved at a workbench, but the upgraded Thieves Guild leader armor received after completing all special jobs can be enhanced. However, both sets have identical base stats, meaning the upgrade is purely cosmetic aside from the ability to temper it. Imperial versus Stormcloak weight. Imperial heavy armor and Stormcloak officer armor have identical stats, but Imperial armor weighs 2 pounds more per piece. This seemingly arbitrary difference suggests the Civil War questline was balanced more around aesthetics and faction identity than actual mechanical advantages, making the choice truly about politics rather than power. The Mage Armor perk conflict. The Alteration Tree's Mage Armor perks only work when wearing no armor pieces, but the game counts clothing as not armor. This creates confusion since robes appear armor-like, but function as clothing, while items, like the Archmage's robes, are classified as armor, making the perk useless despite the robe's appearance suggesting otherwise. Bone Mold Armor's Morrowind. The Bone Mold armor in Dragonborn DLC is crafted from chitin, but in Morrowind it was made from actual bones. This retcon suggests either the crafting techniques changed over 200 years, or Bethesda simplified the material requirements for gameplay purposes, though lore enthusiasts debate which explanation holds true. Nordic carved armor's late appearance. Despite being traditional Nord craftsmanship, Nordic carved armor doesn't appear in base game Skyrim at all, only being added in the Dragonborn DLC. This strange omission means the homeland of the Nords features no native Nordic armor designs, with all cultural armor instead coming from the distant island of Solstheim. The Steel Plate Mystery. Steel Plate armor shares its basic appearance with Blades armor, but with different coloring and no distinctive features. Many players theorize Steel Plate was originally intended to be craftable Blades armor before Bethesda decided to make Blades armor quest exclusive, explaining why both sets use nearly identical meshes. Orcish armor's green tint. The greenish hue of Orcish armor comes from the orichalcum ore used to forge it, which in real-world metallurgy is actually a type of brass. However, Skyrim's orichalcum behaves more like a fantasy metal, suggesting Bethesda borrowed the name without adopting its actual properties for the sake of creating a distinctive awesomer aesthetic. The Morag Tong Hood glitch. When decapitating a Morag Tong assassin wearing their distinctive hood, the body appears to still have a head under the hood even after the actual head separates. This disturbing visual bug creates an unintentional horror effect that many players find more unsettling than the assassination itself. Dwarven armor's misconception. Despite being called Dwarven armor, it's not actually made by the Dwemer, but rather crafted from scavenged Dwemer metal and Dwarven mechanisms. The name is a misnomer since the dwarves were actually the Dwemer, a race of elves, and the armor is technically recycled machine parts rather than true Dwemer craftsmanship. Glass armor's material confusion. Glass armor in Skyrim looks crystalline and magical, but it's supposedly made from malachite, a real green mineral. However, real malachite is soft and unsuitable for armor, suggesting the Elder Scrolls universe's malachite is a completely different substance that shares only a name with its real-world counterpart. The Vampire Royal Armor restriction. Vampire Royal Armor can only be obtained by siding with the vampires in Dawnguard and looting it from Harkon's corpse. If you side with the Dawnguard, you permanently lose access to this unique armor set, making it one of the only faction armors that's truly missable, rather than just difficult to obtain. Dawnguard Heavy vs. Light. The Dawnguard DLC provides both heavy and light armor versions for vampire hunters, but the heavy armor features significantly more elaborate designs and decorative elements. This suggests Bethesda put more effort into the heavy variant, though both sets provide identical protection when fully upgraded, making the choice purely aesthetic. The Penitus Oculatus Helmet Secret. The Penitus Oculatus Helmet, like the former helmet, only occupies the hair slot, allowing it to be worn with circlets or dragon priest masks. This is particularly valuable since Penitus Oculatus gear is otherwise unremarkable, but this exploit makes the helmet unexpectedly useful for min-maxing builds. Scaled Armor's Identity Crisis. Scaled armor appears to be made from dragon scales based on its appearance and name, but it's actually crafted from steel and corundum with no dragon materials whatsoever. This naming confusion has led countless players to hoard dragon scales expecting to craft scaled armor, only to discover they need entirely different materials. The Forsworn Armor Durability. Forsworn armor, despite being made from bones, feathers, and hide, provides better protection than leather armor and comparable protection to scaled armor. This defies logical expectations about material strength, suggesting the Forsworn's shamanistic crafting techniques imbue their primitive-looking armor with supernatural durability. Hide armor's 4 variants. Hide armor comes in regular, refined, studded, and studded refined varieties, but only the cuirass has a studded version available as a standalone piece. The game pairs studded cuirasses with regular hide pieces for the other slots, creating inconsistent sets that many players never notice due to the similar appearance. The Blades Armor quest log. Blades Armor can only be obtained after completing a significant portion of the main quest line and recruiting followers to Skyhaven Temple. This makes it one of the most quest-logged armor sets in the game, and missing the recruitment opportunities means losing the chance to fully outfit multiple people in Blades gear. Elven Armor's Distinctive Ears. Both Elven and Ebony helmets feature pointed ear decorations that aren't functional for any race. These ornamental ears serve no gameplay purpose, but add distinctive silhouettes that make these armor types instantly recognizable, suggesting Bethesda prioritized iconic designs over practical helmet shapes. The Chitin Armor Location Restriction. Chitin Armor, added in the Dragonborn DLC, uses the same models as former Chitin Armor, but with different coloring. However, Chitin Armor can only be found on Solstheim, never in Skyrim proper, creating an artificial geographic barrier that exists purely for game design, rather than lore reasons. Iron Armor's Surprising Ubiquity. Iron armor is the weakest craftable heavy armor, yet it remains the most commonly worn armor by guards, bandits, and soldiers throughout Skyrim. This suggests iron is far more readily available than better materials, though the game never explains why stronger metals aren't more widely adopted despite their obvious superiority. The Linwe's Armor Set. Linwe's unique light armor set obtained during the Thieves Guild questline is cosmetically identical to regular Thieves Guild armor, but comes pre-enchanted. Many players disenchant these pieces for the enchantments, unknowingly destroying a unique armor set that can never be reobtained. Ancient Nord Armor's Smithing Classification. Ancient Nord armor was originally classified under Daedric smithing in the base game, requiring level 90 smithing to improve. The unofficial patch moved it to steel smithing, making it accessible much earlier. But this change reveals how arbitrarily Bethesda assigned some armor types to smithing perks. The fur armor gender difference. Fur armor on female characters shows significantly more skin than on male characters, with the female variant being essentially a fur bikini. This design choice drew criticism for impracticality, though defenders argue it reflects the visual language of fantasy art, where protective value and coverage rarely correlate logically. Studded Imperial Armor. Tempering bug. Studded Imperial armor couldn't be improved at workbenches for years after release, despite regular Imperial armor being temperable. This bug meant Legion supporters who preferred the studded aesthetic were punished mechanically for their fashion choices until the unofficial patch finally addressed it. The Vampire Armor Blood aesthetic. Vampire armor features red cloth that appears blood-stained, but unlike the Dark Brotherhood's actually blood-stained aesthetic, the red in vampire armor is meant to represent nobility and vampiric royalty. This subtle lore detail is never explicitly stated, leaving many players to assume all vampires just enjoy looking perpetually bloodied. Dragon Priest Mask Weight. Inconsistency. Dragon Priest mask weigh between 1 and 9 pounds, depending on which mask, despite all being the same size. This weight variation has no logical explanation, suggesting Bethesda balanced mask weights around their power levels rather than physical properties, treating weight as a balancing mechanism rather than a realistic attribute. The Cicero outfit uniqueness. Cicero's Jester outfit is a unique clothing set that cannot be crafted or found anywhere else. If players kill Cicero and lose or sell his clothes, they're gone forever. However, if you spare him, he wears the outfit indefinitely, making the choice to kill or spare him partially about whether you want his unique attire. Tavern Clothes Defense. Rating. Regular clothes like tavern clothes or farm clothes provide 0 armor rating, but can still be enchanted with protection spells. This creates the paradox, where enchanted clothing can outperform unenchanted leather armor, suggesting magical protection transcends physical materials entirely in Skyrim's combat system. The Wolf Armor Companion Restriction. Wolf armor is the companion's faction armor, but it's not actually exclusive to them since Yorland Greymane sells it to anyone who joins. However, the wolf armor lacks any enchantment slots and can't be improved beyond normal smithing, making it more symbolic than practical for high-level players. Execution Hood Mechanics. The execution hood worn during the Helgen opening has unique properties that blind the player's vision when equipped. However, this hood can't normally be obtained, though console commands reveal it's fully functional as armor. Its existence suggests Bethesda created a complete item for what's essentially a cutscene prop. The Savior's Hide Transformation. The Savior's Hide, Hircine's Daedric artifact, is light armor made from werewolf hide. Its existence implies werewolves can be skinned like regular animals, which raises disturbing lore implications about how Hircine obtained the hide of a werewolf to curse into this artifact. Vampire Lord Armor Integration. When transforming into a vampire lord, your equipped armor becomes invisible, but continues providing its armor rating and enchantment effects. This allows players to maintain full defensive capabilities while in beast form, unlike werewolf transformation, which strips all armor bonuses and creates a major vulnerability. The Alaka armor. Inconsistency. Alaka warriors wear distinctive armor that players can loot, but it's just renamed Hammerfell Guard armor with identical stats to other guard armors. This lazy implementation disappointed players hoping for unique Redguard equipment, revealing how Bethesda sometimes took shortcuts with NPC-specific gear. Psijic robes unobtainability. The Psijic Order wears beautiful, unique robes throughout their questline, but these robes are completely unobtainable by players through any legitimate means. Console commands reveal they exist as equipable items, suggesting Bethesda deliberately kept them NPC exclusive despite player demand. The Jagged Crown head slot, the Jagged Crown, like Fulmer helmets, only occupies the hair slot, allowing it to be worn with circlets. However, it's automatically removed during the Civil War questline, and most players never discover this exploit since the crown is only briefly available before being quest locked. Blackguard's armor, Solstheim. Exclusive. Blackguard's armor in Dragonborn is a unique light armor set that looks like darker, more sinister Thieves Guild armor. It's Solstheim exclusive and can only be obtained from a single quest, making it one of the rarest complete armor sets, despite having relatively modest stat improvements over regular guild armor. The Dragon Scale Boots glitch. When Khajiit or Argonians wear Dragon Scale helmets, their racial features can disappear, including horns and ears. This long-standing bug affects the game's most powerful light armor, forcing beast race players to choose between optimal protection and maintaining their character's proper appearance. Shrouded armor. Wet appearance. The Dark Brotherhood's shrouded armor has a perpetually wet, oily appearance that makes it look ideal for stealth. However, this visual effect is purely cosmetic and provides no actual stealth bonus beyond the armor's enchantments, though the psychological impact makes players feel sneakier while wearing it. Emperor's robes, non-armor status. The Emperor's robes looted during the Dark Brotherhood questline are classified as clothing, not armor, despite their elaborate appearance. This classification means they work with mage armor perks, but provide no inherent protection, making the ruler of Tamriel effectively unarmored during assassination attempts. The Greybeard robes. Mystery. Greybeards wear distinctive hooded robes, but these aren't obtainable by players despite their iconic appearance. The robes exist in game files as equipable items, suggesting Bethesda considered making them available before deciding to keep the Greybeard's aesthetic exclusive to their order. Steel armor's practical design. Steel armor is one of the few sets in Skyrim designed with realistic armor principles, featuring proper joint protection and weight distribution. Its practical appearance makes it a favorite among players who prefer realism, though the game's mechanics don't actually reward realistic armor design over fantastical aesthetics. The Worn Shrouded set. Several worn shrouded armor pieces exist in Dawnstar Sanctuary that can't be equipped by players. When picked up, they turn invisible in the inventory, while still adding carry weight, creating a permanent burden unless removed via console commands on PC. Madness Armor's Shivering Isles. Return. Madness Armor from Oblivion's Shivering Isles. Expansion returns in Skyrim as Creation Club content. Made from Madness, or found only in the Shivering Isles, its presence in Skyrim raises lore questions about how materials from Sheogorath's plane made it to Tamriel. The Mythic Dawn robes. Callback. Mythic Dawn robes appear in Skyrim despite the cult being destroyed 200 years ago in Oblivion. Finding these robes suggests either the cult survived underground or someone is trying to revive them, adding dark implications that are never fully explored in-game. Ebony Warrior's custom armor. The Ebony Warrior wears a complete set of enchanted ebony armor with unique enchantments that can't be replicated by players. After defeating him, his armor becomes standard ebony with generic enchantments, suggesting his legendary status somehow empowered his equipment beyond normal limits. The Thieves Guild Armor Evolution. Thieves Guild armor visually changes as you progress through the guild questline, with the Guild Master version featuring a red sash. However, this aesthetic upgrade doesn't come with stat improvements, meaning the visual prestige of leadership doesn't translate into mechanical advantages. Dragonplate armbands. Easter egg. Dragonplate armor features dragon script carved into the armbands reading Jonah Loeb, the character artist who created the armor design. This developer signature is a playful Easter egg hidden in plain sight on one of the game's most prestigious armor sets. Farmer heavy armor. Contradiction. Despite being heavy armor, former heavy armor pieces weigh less than some medium armor sets. This weight inconsistency suggests Bethesda balanced farmer armor around accessibility rather than realism, since players encounter farmer early when carry weight is a serious limitation. The ethereal crown armor debate. The ethereal crown is classified as a circlet rather than armor, allowing it to stack with most helmets. This classification creates one of the game's most powerful equipment synergies, letting players have two standing stone powers simultaneously while maintaining full armor ratings. Dawnguard Vampire Armor. Symmetry. Dawnguard Vampire Armor and Dawnguard Heavy Armor are aesthetically opposite, with Vampire Armor being black and red, while Crusader Armor is silver and blue. This visual dichotomy reinforces the DLC's central conflict, making faction allegiance immediately recognizable through armor appearance. The Boots of the Old Gods. The boots of the Old Gods obtained during the Forsworn conspiracy look identical to regular Forsworn boots, but have unique enchantments. Many players never realize these are special, since Forsworn boots are common drops, causing them to accidentally sell or disenchant a one-of-a-kind item. Necromancer Robes Standard Classification. Necromancer robes come in multiple colors, black, brown, green, but all have identical stats. This variety exists purely for visual diversity, though lore implications suggest different necromancer schools prefer different colors, adding subtle world building through clothing that most players never notice. The Shellbug Helmet bonus. The Shellbug Helmet provides slightly better armor rating than the regular Farmer Heavy Helmet, while matching the former set for perk bonuses. This makes it objectively superior to the normal helmet, though the materials needed are so rare that most players never craft it. Stormcloak Cuirass Physique. Enhancement. The Stormcloak Cuirass makes male characters appear more muscular and barrel-chested than their actual body proportion. This armor padding creates an exaggerated warrior silhouette that reflects Nordic ideals of masculinity, though it's purely cosmetic and doesn't affect actual character stats. The Cultist Robes Miraak Connection. Cultist robes worn by Miraak's followers feature tentacle motifs that reflect Hermaeus Mora's influence. These robes can be looted early in Dragonborn, but their full significance isn't apparent until players understand Miraak's connection to the Daedric Prince of Knowledge. Fine Clothes. Economic inequality. Fine clothes are expensive to purchase, but provide no gameplay benefits over regular clothes. This creates a purely economic status symbol, where wealthy NPCs wear fine clothes to display wealth, while adventurers view them as a waste of gold, better spent on enchanted gear. Mourners' clothes, funeral appropriateness. Mourners' clothes are a unique clothing set designed for funeral attendants, but they provide no benefits beyond role-playing value. The game never requires wearing appropriate attire to any social event, making these clothes exist solely for players who enjoy immersive dress codes. The Red Eagle Armor Set. Red Eagle's armor worn by the legendary Reachman King is unique in appearance, but has terrible stats for its difficulty to obtain. This disconnect between legendary status and mechanical power reflects how Bethesda sometimes valued historical significance over practical usefulness. Skull Armor. Cultural identity. Skull armor, introduced in Dragonborn, represents the Skull tribe's distinct culture separate from mainland Nords. However, it's statistically identical to regular hide armor, suggesting cultural identity doesn't translate to mechanical advantages despite the armor's unique aesthetic. The Ancient Shrouded Armor Upgrade. Ancient Shrouded Armor is statistically superior to regular shrouded armor from the Dark Brotherhood, but obtaining it requires finding Olava's token and completing a separate quest line. Many players finish the Brotherhood without knowing better armor exists, missing a significant power upgrade. Predator's Grace Boots. Predator's Grace, unique boots found in Hag's End, provide muffle and increased movement speed. These boots are considered by many to be the best footwear in the game for stealth builds, yet they're easily missed since Hag's End is optional and the boots blend in with regular loot. The Amulet of Articulation Sneak Boost. The Amulet of Articulation obtained from the Thieves Guild gives a permanent fortify speech effect that also improves persuasion chances. However, many players don't realize it's one of the few amulets that provides non-magical benefits, making it valuable for characters avoiding heavy enchantment use. Tumblerbane Gloves Lockpick. Bonus. Tumblerbane Gloves provide a fortify lockpicking enchantment, but lockpicking in Skyrim is skill-based rather than stat-based. This makes the gloves essentially useless since they don't actually make lockpicking easier, representing a fundamental misunderstanding of how the lockpicking minigame works. The Lunar Weapons versus Armor. Lunar weapons exist in Skyrim, but no lunar armor set exists, creating an asymmetry where weapons have a complete set, but armor doesn't. This suggests Bethesda planned lunar armor, but cut it during development, leaving only the weapons as remnants of a larger system. Beggar's Clothes. Economic accuracy. Beggars wear ragged clothes worth almost nothing when sold, accurately reflecting their poverty. However, these clothes can be enchanted to be more valuable than any armor in the game, creating an ironic situation where a beggar's rags become legendary equipment. The Ring of Pure Mixtures. The Ring of Pure Mixtures improves alchemy, but is classified as a ring rather than amulet, meaning it competes with other ring slots. This classification forces alchemists to choose between ring enchantments and the Pure Mixtures bonus, creating interesting build decisions. Cicero's Hat Independence. Cicero's jester hat can be worn separately from his outfit, allowing players to mix the hat with other armor for a disturbing jester warrior appearance. This flexibility was likely unintentional, but creates interesting fashion choices for players who enjoy aesthetic inconsistency. The Gilded Wristguard's Wealth Display. Gilded wristguards are expensive clothing items that provide no benefits but signal wealth. several rich NPCs wear them, creating visual class distinctions that most players never consciously notice, but which subtly reinforce Skyrim's economic hierarchies. Merchant clothes, persuasion, myth. Many players believe wearing merchant clothes improves prices, but this is false since speech skill and perks determine prices, not clothing. This persistent misconception shows how players often assume logical connections that don't actually exist in the game's mechanics. The Blue Robes Magic Association. Blue robes are associated with destruction magic in College of Winterhold aesthetics, but wearing them provides no magical benefits. This creates a disconnect where mage fashion and mage mechanics are completely separate systems with no meaningful interaction. Wedding dress. Single use. The wedding dress obtained during the Temple of Mara ceremony is a unique clothing item that serves no purpose after the wedding quest. Most players never wear it again, making it a sentimental keepsake rather than functional equipment. The monk robes meditation aesthetic. Greybeard-style monk robes exist as clothing items, but provide no meditation or restoration bonuses. This missed opportunity means there's no mechanical incentive to roleplay as a monk, despite the visual style being available. Barkeeper clothes service industry. Barkeeper clothes are worn by innkeepers throughout Skyrim, but provide no bonuses to speech or barter. The game treats service industry clothing as purely cosmetic, missing an opportunity to create minor profession-based bonuses that would reward immersive dress. The blacksmith's apron. Irony: blacksmith aprons exist as clothing, but provide no smithing bonuses whatsoever. This is particularly ironic since smithing is one of the few skills where profession-appropriate attire could logically help. Yet the game ignores this opportunity entirely. Chef's hat cooking disconnect. Chef's hats are clothing items in Skyrim, but since cooking isn't a skill, they provide no benefits. This creates a situation where profession-specific clothing exists without corresponding profession-specific mechanics, making it purely decorative. The miner's clothes material paradox. Miners wear basic clothes while working, but these clothes provide no benefits to mining. Since mining is an activity in Skyrim, clothes that boosted mining speed or yield would make sense, yet this opportunity for immersive mechanics was ignored. Farms, clothes, agriculture gap. Farm clothes exist, but farming isn't a player activity in Skyrim, making these clothes exist for NPC flavor without player relevance. This highlights how Skyrim's NPCs have professions that players can't meaningfully engage with, despite the clothes being available. The Hammerfell garb outsider status. Hammerfell garb is worn by Redguard travelers, distinguishing them visually from Skyrim natives. This cultural clothing reinforces the immigrant status of Redguards in Nord territory, creating subtle environmental storytelling through fashion that most players absorb unconsciously. Rough-spun tunic poverty indicator. Rough-spun tunics are the cheapest clothing in Skyrim, worn by the poorest NPCs. Their low value and plain appearance serve as a visual poverty indicator that helps players immediately identify economic classes without reading dialogue. The merchant's clothes. Regional variants. Merchant clothes come in different colors across different cities, suggesting regional fashion preferences or trade guild affiliations. This detail adds world-building depth that's never explicitly explained, letting players draw their own conclusions about Skyrim's commercial culture. Mage robes level scaling. Mage robes come in apprentice, adept, expert, and master variants with increasing magical benefits. This creates a visual progression where more powerful mages wear more elaborate robes, making magical skill level readable from appearance alone. The hooded robes. Anonymity. Hooded robes hide the character's face, providing a gameplay benefit for criminals who want to obscure their identity. However, this doesn't actually affect the bounty system, making the anonymity purely aesthetic rather than mechanical. Vampire robes undead. Aesthetic. Vampire robes are deliberately designed to look elegant yet sinister, combining aristocratic fashion with undead themes. This creates a unique visual identity for vampires that distinguishes them from regular mages, despite both groups favoring robes. The college robe's color. Coding. College of Winterhold robes come in different colors, supposedly indicating magical specialization, but wearing specific colors provides no bonuses to corresponding magic schools. This missed opportunity means color choice is purely aesthetic rather than mechanically meaningful. Dunmer cultural clothing. Dunmer cultural clothing, like common robes, reflects Morrowind's influence on Skyrim's Dark Elf refugees. These clothes help maintain cultural identity in exile, creating visual storytelling about diaspora communities that's never explicitly addressed in dialogue. The barkeeper hat service symbol. Barkeeper hats are worn exclusively by innkeepers and tavern workers, creating a universal service industry symbol. This visual shorthand lets players immediately identify merchants from across a room, demonstrating how clothing serves practical UI purposes. Beggar's robes versus beggar's clothes. Beggars can wear either ragged robes or beggar's clothes, with no stat difference between them. This variety prevents all beggars from looking identical while maintaining their visual poverty, showing attention to diversity even among the lowest economic classes. The Execution Robes Death Association. Execution robes exist for NPCs about to be executed, marking them as condemned. These robes are unobtainable by players, but serve an important storytelling function by visually distinguishing the condemned from regular prisoners. Child clothes development and limits. Children in Skyrim wear specific clothes that can't be equipped by adults due to different body models. This technical limitation creates an artificial division, where child fashion is completely separate from adult fashion with no overlap. The Wedding Wreath Ceremony. Exclusive. Wedding wreaths are worn during Temple of Mara ceremonies, but can't be obtained as equipment by players. This limitation means players can witness weddings, but can't recreate the full ceremonial appearance, reserving some visual elements for NPCs only. Noble Clothes Class. Distinction. Noble clothes are expensive and worn by jarls, thanes, and wealthy merchants, creating a visual aristocracy. The game never requires wearing appropriate clothes for social situations, but players who do feel more immersed in Skyrim's class system. The Alaka Hood Desert Protection. Alaka warriors wear hoods that logically protect from desert sun, but provide no heat resistance in Skyrim's cold climate. This suggests their clothing choices are cultural rather than practical, maintaining Hammerfell traditions regardless of environment. Tavern clothes. Regional variants. Tavern clothes vary slightly between regions, with different colors and patterns suggesting local styles. This subtle variation makes Skyrim feel more culturally diverse, without explicitly calling attention to regional differences through dialogue. The Merchant's Hat Trader Symbol. Merchant hats are worn by traveling traders and shop owners, creating a universal trader symbol across all of Skyrim. This visual language lets players identify potential merchants instantly, demonstrating how clothing serves gameplay communication. Blacksmith's Apron as status symbol. While blacksmith aprons provide no mechanical benefits, wearing one while smithing adds immersive roleplay value. The game doesn't reward this behavior, but players who wear appropriate clothing report feeling more connected to their character's profession. The mourner's clothes, funeral custom. Mourner's clothes exist for funeral scenes, but are never required for quests. This optional immersion item exists purely for players who want to respect in-game funeral customs, showing Bethesda included details for roleplay without mandating them. College robes academic tradition. College robes in Winterhold maintain academic traditions from Cyrodiil's Arcane University, despite being centuries and provinces away. This cultural continuity suggests mage organizations maintain standardized dress codes across time and distance. The Greybeard robe's monastic life. Greybeards wear simple robes reflecting their ascetic lifestyle, but these robes are NPC exclusive. This restriction means players can join their order philosophically, but can't fully adopt their appearance, maintaining visual distinction between novice and master. Emperor Titus Mede's outfit. Emperor Titus Mede II wears elaborate robes during his assassination, but these robes provide no protection against the Dark Brotherhood. This reinforces how political power doesn't translate to combat readiness, making him vulnerable despite his status. The Moth Priest robe's blindness. Moth Priest robes are worn by blind scholars who read Elder Scrolls. These robes exist in-game but are unobtainable, keeping the visual identity of this rare and mysterious order exclusive to its members, rather than available to players. Wujita's unique clothes. Wujita the Argonian wears unique clothes found nowhere else in Skyrim. This detail gives a minor NPC distinct visual identity despite her small role, showing how Bethesda sometimes granted unique appearances even to characters with minimal story importance. The farmer's clothes field work. Farmers wear specific clothes designed for outdoor labor, but these clothes provide no stamina or weather protection benefits. The game treats agricultural clothing as purely aesthetic, missing an opportunity for minor profession-based bonuses. Scaled armor's dragon scale. Deception. Scaled armor looks remarkably similar to dragon scale armor with its overlapping plate design, causing many new players to confuse the two sets. This visual similarity is intentional, making scaled armor feel like a preview of the endgame dragon scale set, though they share no materials and belong to completely different tiers of protection. The Nordic Bracer's Solstheim connection. Nordic carved armor's bracers feature intricate carvings of dragons and traditional Nord motifs that tell stories of ancient heroes. Each piece was designed with incredible attention to detail, with the bracers alone featuring more decorative elements than entire armor sets from earlier Elder Scrolls games. Dwarven boots sound design. Dwarven armor produces distinct mechanical sounds when walking, reflecting its construction from Dwemer metal and machinery parts. This audio design creates an immersive experience where players can hear the difference between armor materials, though most players never consciously notice these subtle sound variations. The Elven Shield smithing speed. Elven shields are one of the fastest items to smith for leveling, requiring only a moonstone and refined malachite. Savvy players exploit this by mass-producing elven shields to quickly level smithing, turning what should be elegant elven craftsmanship into an industrial smithing grind. Glass armor's transparency myth. Despite being called glass armor and having a crystalline appearance, it's not actually transparent like real glass. The name comes from volcanic glass rather than window glass, though this distinction is never explained in-game, leading to persistent confusion about why armor called glass isn't see-through. The Steel Armor Guard Standard. Steel armor serves as the standard protection for city guards across Skyrim, creating visual consistency that helps players instantly identify law enforcement. This standardization suggests either a centralized supply system or strong cultural armor preferences that transcend whole boundaries. Orcish armor's stronghold availability. Orcish armor appears in orc strongholds, but these strongholds don't sell it to outsiders until you complete their quest chains. This artificial restriction creates a gate for accessing what should be culturally available armor, reflecting the orcs' isolationist tendencies through commerce restrictions. The Blackguard's Gloves Thief Boost. Blackguard's Gloves provide a powerful pickpocket bonus that stacks with other thief equipment. When combined with the right perks and enchantments, these gloves can make pickpocketing nearly impossible to fail, turning even novice thieves into master pickpockets through equipment alone. Dragonplate Helmet's Intimidation. The Dragonplate helmet features a fierce dragon skull design that makes characters look like they're wearing a dragon's head. This intimidating appearance has no mechanical effect on NPC reactions, though players report feeling more confident when wearing it, demonstrating how visual design affects player psychology. The Cultist Boots Hidden Value. Cultist boots from Dragonborn have surprisingly high armor ratings for boots worn by robed enemies. Their enchantments make them valuable, but many players overlook them because cultists appear as minor enemies rather than major threats, causing players to miss these valuable early game items. Thieves Guild Variant Boots. The Thieves Guild set includes regular boots and a variant with slightly different enchantments found on specific NPCs. Most players never realize multiple versions exist because they look identical, making the discovery of the alternate version feel like finding a hidden secret. The Gilded Armor Wealth Display. While no gilded armor exists as a set, gilded elven armor pieces appear on wealthy NPCs, featuring gold plating over elven designs. These pieces demonstrate how armor modifications could indicate social status, though the game never implements this system comprehensively across all armor types. Farmer Hardened Armor. Evolution. Farmer Hardened Armor represents an evolutionary step between basic Farmer Armor and Farmer Heavy Armor, suggesting the Farmer are developing more sophisticated crafting techniques. This implies their culture is advancing despite their blindness and degeneration, adding nuance to their portrayal as mere monsters. The Vampire Ancient Armor. Ancient vampire armor exists in game files, but never appears in normal gameplay, suggesting Bethesda planned additional vampire equipment that was cut during development. This lost content hints at a more elaborate vampire hierarchy that was simplified in the final Dawnguard release. Stormcloak Helmet's Bear Emblem. The Stormcloak helmet features Skyrim's bear emblem prominently displayed, creating instant visual association with Nordic independence. This symbol appears on both the helmet and cuirass, reinforcing faction identity through consistent iconography that makes Stormcloaks recognizable even at a distance. The Hide Helmet Wilderness aesthetic. Hide helmets are literally animal heads worn as headgear, creating a primal aesthetic perfect for barbaric characters. The choice to use actual animal skulls instead of stylized designs makes hide armor feel more primitive and closer to nature than refined metal armor sets. Imperial Light Armor Officer Distinction. Imperial light armor worn by officers has additional decorative elements compared to standard Legionnaire armor. These subtle details create visual hierarchy within the Imperial military, allowing players to identify officer NPCs before reading their names or hearing their elevated dialogue options. The Deathbrand Helm Horns. Deathbrand helmets' distinctive horns curve dramatically forward, rather than upward like most horned helmets in Skyrim. This unique silhouette makes the Deathbrand set instantly recognizable and gives it a more aggressive appearance than other light armor sets, reflecting its legendary pirate owner's fierce reputation. Bone mold armor's chitinous reality. Despite its name suggesting bone construction, bone mold armor in Skyrim is made from netch leather and chitin, not actual bones. This retcon from Morrowind's lore creates continuity confusion, though it simplifies crafting requirements by using materials more readily available on Solstheim. The Vampire Royal Boots rarity. Vampire Royal Boots are one of the rarest boot pieces in Skyrim because they can only be looted from vampire-named NPCs in Castle Volkihar. Most players who get these boots obtain them from Lord Harkon, making them trophies of one of the game's most significant boss battles. Orcish Armor's Desert Origins. Orcish Armor's design reflects the Orsimer's connections to both Hammerfell and their High Rock origins, featuring curved elements similar to Redguard equipment, but with the heavy construction of traditional Orsimer smithing. This cultural fusion in design tells stories about Orc history without requiring dialogue exposition. The Archmage's Boots integration. The Archmage's boots are part of a full robe set, but are often overlooked because the robes themselves are so distinctive. These boots provide magicka regeneration and are some of the best footwear for pure mages, though many players never realize the full Archmage set exists beyond just the robes. Steel Plate Helmet's Elven Ears. The steel plate helmet features pointed ear decorations similar to the ebony helmet, despite steel plate being human-crafted armor. This design choice suggests either cross-cultural influence in Skyrim's armor crafting traditions, or simply Bethesda reusing successful design elements across different armor tiers. The Vampire Lord armor transformation. When entering Vampire Lord form, the player's armor seamlessly disappears and reappears during transformation. This smooth visual transition required special animation work that most players never consciously appreciate, though it contributes significantly to the transformation feeling powerful and magical. Dawnguard Helmet's cross symbol. The Dawnguard Heavy Helmet features a prominent cross symbol representing the Vampire Hunter's Crusade. This religious iconography is unusual in Skyrim, where most factions use animal or cultural symbols, suggesting the Dawnguard see their mission in explicitly spiritual terms. The Ancient Former Crown Mystery. The Ancient Former Crown exists in game files and is worn by Knight Paladin Gelebor, but cannot be legitimately obtained by players. Console commands reveal it's classified as a circlet rather than armor, suggesting Bethesda intended players to have it before changing their minds during development. Fur armor's regional availability. Fur armor is most common in Skyrim's northern holds, reflecting logical material sourcing from local hunting. This geographic distribution creates believable economic patterns where armor availability correlates with local resources, adding environmental storytelling through merchant inventories. The Wolf Armor Shield absence. Wolf armor set includes helmet, cuirass, gauntlets, and boots, but no shield, breaking the standard 5-piece pattern. This omission suggests the companions favor two-handed weapons or dual-wielding over sword and board fighting, using armor design to imply combat philosophy. Ebony Armor's silver inlay. Ebony Armor features intricate silver inlay work covering much of its surface, creating beautiful contrast against the black ebony metal. This decorative element suggests ebony armor is luxury equipment for wealthy warriors, rather than purely practical gear, explaining its high value beyond just protection statistics. The Nightingale Cape physics. The Nightingale Armor's cape has unique physics that makes it flow dramatically during movement. This cape required special animation work to prevent clipping through the character model, representing significant development effort for what's essentially a cosmetic flourish that enhances the armor's theatrical appearance. Guildmaster Armor's red sash. The Thieves' Guildmaster armor features a distinctive red sash, not present on regular guild armor. This single element visually communicates leadership status, allowing other thieves to recognize the guildmaster even from behind without needing to see their face or read their name. The Penitus Oculatus Helmet Hair Slot. The Penitus Oculatus Helmet's classification in the hair slot, rather than head slot, creates exploits, but also makes narrative sense. These Imperial agents might need to wear disguises over their uniforms, so a helmet that allows additional headwear creates both mechanical and lore advantages. Shrouded Gloves, Poison Bonus. Shrouded gloves provide a double pickpocket chance, but they also synergize with the Dark Brotherhood's poison focus by making it easier to plant poisons on targets. This subtle synergy rewards players who understand the Brotherhood's assassination methods beyond just stabbing people. The Alika Warrior Outfit Scimitar Match. Alika armor is designed to complement the curved scimitar weapons they carry, creating visual cohesion between equipment and weapons. The armor's flowing design suggests mobility suited to the Redguard's curved blade fighting style, using visual language to communicate combat philosophy. Dragon Priest robes under masks. Dragon priests wear elaborate robes under their masks, but these robes are unobtainable and classified separately from the masks. Each priest's robes are unique, suggesting individual priests maintain personal style even while conforming to the standardized mask designs. The studded armor confusion. Studded armor refers to studded Imperial cuirass and studded Imperial bracers, not a complete set. Many players search for studded helmets and boots that don't exist, highlighting how Skyrim's armor naming conventions can be inconsistent and confusing for completionist players. Vampire boots blood walking. Vampire armor boots have designs suggesting they're meant for walking silently through castle corridors while hunting. The pointed toe design is impractical for hiking, but perfect for courtly stalking, showing how armor design reflects character lifestyle rather than pure combat practicality. The Cultist robes. Hermaeus Mora patterns. Cultist robes feature patterns resembling eyes and tentacles, foreshadowing Hermaeus Mora's involvement in Mirak's story. Players wearing these robes early in Dragonborn carry visual clues to the expansion's major plot twist without realizing it until Apocrypha is revealed. Ancient Nord armor's Draugr connection. Ancient Nord armor is worn by Draugr and found in Nordic tombs, but it's unclear if this armor was made by ancient Nords or if it's equipment the dead were buried in. The armor's pristine condition after centuries suggests magical preservation rather than normal metal durability. The Diadem of the Savant. The Diadem of the Savant is technically a circlet, but functions as a helmet for enchantment purposes. This classification allows it to be worn with certain armors while providing head protection, creating interesting equipment combinations that wouldn't work with standard helmet designs. Mourner's clothes. Gender variance. Mourner's clothes have different appearances for male and female characters, both appearing appropriately somber, but cut differently. This attention to gender-specific design for a clothing set that's purely ceremonial shows Bethesda's commitment to visual variety, even for niche items. The Emperor's robes, Imperial Purple. Emperor Titus Mead. Second's robes feature Imperial Purple, a color historically reserved for royalty. This authentic touch grounds Skyrim's fantasy elements in historical color symbolism, using real-world associations to reinforce the Emperor's status without requiring dialogue explanation. Greybeard robes throat of the world. The Greybeard's simple robes reflect their ascetic lifestyle on the throat of the world, where material wealth means nothing. The impracticality of these robes in freezing mountain conditions suggests the Greybeard's mastery of the voice keeps them warm, showing power through apparent vulnerability. The Magehood peripheral vision. Deep magehoods would logically restrict peripheral vision, but this is never reflected in gameplay. The choice to prioritize visual aesthetic over realistic vision restrictions shows how Bethesda balanced immersion with playability, keeping dramatic hood designs without frustrating players. Imperial helmet's open face. Imperial helmets have open face designs that leave the face exposed, contrasting with enclosed helmets like Ebony or Daedric. This design choice makes Imperial soldiers more humanized and less intimidating, possibly reflecting the Empire's attempts to appear as protectors rather than conquerors. The Wolf Gauntlet's companion recognition. Wolf Gauntlets make any equipped amulet invisible through a long-standing bug. This glitch creates an unintended situation where wearing companion's armor literally makes religious symbols disappear, accidentally reinforcing the faction's focus on martial prowess over divine faith. Dragon-scale gauntlets. Claw design. Dragon-scale gauntlets feature prominent claws on the fingertips, making the wearer's hands resemble dragon talons. This design element transforms hands into weapons visually, suggesting the gauntlets enhance unarmed combat, even though they provide no such mechanical bonus. The Fulmer helmet face coverage. Fulmer helmets completely cover the face with no eye holes, accurately reflecting the farmer's blindness. Wearing this helmet as a seeing character creates cognitive dissonance, though the game doesn't impair vision, prioritizing playability over realistic simulation of blindness. Thieves Guild Armor's lockpick pockets. The Thieves Guild armor features numerous pockets and pouches perfect for concealing lockpicks and stolen goods. While these visual details don't affect carry weight or inventory mechanics, they reinforce the armor's thief identity through practical design elements. The Vampire Royal Armor nobility. Vampire Royal Armor's elaborate design reflects the aristocratic nature of Castle Volkihar's vampire court. The armor communicates that these aren't feral monsters, but sophisticated predators with culture and hierarchy, using fashion to distinguish the Volkihar clan from common vampires. Stormcloak Officer Armor. Blue cloth. Stormcloak Officer Armor features blue cloth accents representing Skyrim's traditional colors. Regular Stormcloak soldiers have less elaborate versions, creating visual rank distinctions that help players identify officers during Civil War battles without checking name tags. The Dawnguard Light Armor Vampire Hunting. Dawnguard Light Armor is designed for mobility while hunting vampires in their lairs. The lighter weight allows vampire hunters to pursue undead prey through narrow castle corridors and crypts, showing how armor design reflects tactical doctrine rather than just aesthetic preferences. Forsworn Armor's primitive sophistication. Forsworn armor looks primitive with its bone and feathers, but it provides surprisingly effective protection. This suggests the Reachman's shamanic crafting techniques achieve through magic what other cultures accomplish through metallurgy, validating their rejection of modern smithing. The Morag Tong Boner Mold Evolution. Morag Tong assassins in Dragonborn wear bone mold armor, connecting them to Morrowind's Dark Brotherhood alternatives. This armor choice creates visual continuity with earlier games, while distinguishing these assassins from Skyrim's Dark Brotherhood through material and design differences. Ebony Male's Living Shadow. The Ebony Male's poison cloud visually appears as living shadows seeping from the armor. This effect suggests the armor is actively alive or cursed, reinforcing its nature as a Daedric artifact rather than normal equipment blessed by a prince. The Vampire Light Armor Hierarchy. Vampire armor exists in light and heavy variants, suggesting different combat roles within vampire society. Light armor wearers might be scouts or seducers, while heavy armor vampires serve as guardians, creating implied social structure through equipment choices. Ancient Former Armor's Snow Elf Heritage. The Ancient Former Armor's elegant design contrasts dramatically with the crude former equipment worn by the twisted creatures in Dwemer ruins. This visual comparison shows how far the Snow Elves have fallen, using armor to communicate tragedy without needing explicit exposition. The Saviour's Hide Werewolf. Irony. The Saviour's Hide is made from werewolf skin, yet it helps wearers resist disease, including lycanthropy. This creates dark irony, where armor made from werewolves protects against becoming one, suggesting Hircine enjoys this twisted humor in his artifact's design. Guildmaster Glove Pickpocket Mastery. Thieves' Guildmaster gloves provide enhanced pickpocket chances beyond regular guild gloves. This upgrade reflects how mastering the guild improves equipment quality, rewarding players who complete all special jobs with functional improvements beyond just cosmetic differences. The chitin Heavy Armor. Weight. Despite being chitin, the heavy former armor is heavier than expected for insect-based protection. This suggests the former's crafting process somehow increases chitin's density, or the armor includes additional materials not visible in its appearance. Steel Armor's Crossguard Design. Steel armor cuirasses feature decorative crossguard patterns across the chest, suggesting religious influence on armor design. This crusader-like aesthetic implies Nordic blacksmiths incorporated faith symbolism into practical equipment, blending spirituality with military function. The Dawnguard Rune Shield Glow. Dawnguard rune shields glow when equipped, featuring magical wards against vampires. This visual effect makes the shields feel alive and holy, reinforcing the vampire hunter's sacred mission through aesthetics that complement the Dawnguard's religious dedication to Stendarr. Orcish Gauntlets. Knuckle Spikes. Orcish gauntlets feature prominent knuckle spikes that suggest enhanced punching capability. While the game doesn't give bonus unarmed damage, the visual design implies orc smiths consider gauntlets as weapons themselves, not just hand protection. The Nightingale Gloves Lockpick Bonus. Nightingale gloves provide substantial lockpicking bonuses that make them essential for thieves. Combined with the skeleton key, these gloves can make lockpicking nearly impossible to fail, turning every lock into a guaranteed opening regardless of difficulty. Dragonplate Cuirass Shoulder Spikes. The Dragonplate Cuirass features massive shoulder spikes that would be impractical in real combat, but create an imposing silhouette. These design flourishes prioritize intimidation over practicality, suggesting dragon bone armor serves as much to terrify enemies as to protect the wearer. The Archmage's Robes Color Scheme. The Archmage's robes feature a distinctive blue and gold color scheme associated with high magical authority. This color combination appears nowhere else in Skyrim, making the robes instantly recognizable and reinforcing the Archmage's unique status within the college's hierarchy. Vampire Ancient Boots missing content. Vampire Ancient Boots exist in game files, but never appear in gameplay, suggesting a cut armor tier between regular and royal vampire equipment. This lost content hints at a more complex vampire equipment progression that was streamlined before Dawnguard's release. The hide boots barbarian aesthetic. Hide boots are simple wrapped leather held together with straps, creating a primitive aesthetic perfect for barbarian roleplay. The lack of structure or support suggests these boots prioritize availability and ease of repair over comfort or durability. Imperial Bracers Officer Additions. Imperial Officer Bracers have additional armor plates compared to standard Legionnaire bracers, creating subtle visual rank distinctions. These small design differences communicate military hierarchy without requiring ostentatious decorations that might compromise combat practicality. The Stalrim Heavy Armor Ice Blue. Stalrim Heavy Armor's distinctive ice blue color comes from the enchanted ice it's crafted from. This material's unique properties make it the only armor in Skyrim whose color comes from magical material rather than metal oxidation or applied dyes. Elven Gauntlets, Gold Filigree. Elven gauntlets feature intricate gold filigree work covering their surfaces, demonstrating the Altmer's dedication to beauty and functional objects. This decoration would require master craftsmanship, explaining why elven equipment is expensive beyond just its combat capabilities. The Cultist Mask. Hermeus, Mora Eyes. Cultist masks feature multiple eyes resembling Hermeus Mora's watchful gaze. Wearing this mask creates unsettling visual symbolism, where the player literally sees through the Daedric Prince's eyes, foreshadowing Mirak's complete corruption by forbidden knowledge. Dark Brotherhood Shrouded Cowl. Shadow. The Dark Brotherhood's shrouded cowl casts a deep shadow over the face, making facial features harder to discern. This shadow serves practical assassination purposes by obscuring identity while creating the iconic, mysterious assassin silhouette that defines the Brotherhood's aesthetic. The Deathbrand Gauntlets. Legendary status. Deathbrand Gauntlets belong to a legendary pirate and are buried as treasure across Solstheim. The quest to recover them transforms these gauntlets from equipment into artifacts with narrative weight, making them feel more special than their stats alone would suggest. Orcish Helmet Tusk Design. Orcish helmets feature tusk-like protrusions mimicking Orsimer facial features. This design choice makes the armor feel culturally authentic, as if Orcsmiths craft equipment that emphasizes rather than hides their racial characteristics. The Nightingale Boots Muffle Effect. Nightingale boots provide a muffle enchantment that makes footsteps completely silent. This effect is essential for the sneakiest thieves, though bugs sometimes prevent it from working properly, creating frustration when players rely on these legendary boots for perfect silence. Glass Gauntlets. Crystal Structure. Glass gauntlets feature crystalline structures suggesting they're grown rather than forged. This otherworldly appearance reinforces glass armor's exotic nature, making it feel more like magical artifact than mundane equipment, despite being craftable with sufficient smithing skill. The Wolf Helmet Companion Symbol. Wolf helmets display the companion's wolf symbol prominently, marking the wearer as a member of Skyrim's most famous warrior guild. This instant recognition helps companions maintain their legendary status, as their armor announces their membership before they speak. Thieves Guild Hood Riften. Design. The Thieves Guild Hood's design reflects Riften's aesthetic, with its dark leather and subtle stitching. This regional crafting style suggests Guild's equipment is made locally, connecting the Guild's armor to the city that shelters them. The Vampire Royal Gauntlets. Claw nails. Vampire Royal Gauntlets feature claw-like fingernails extending from the fingers, making the wearer's hands resemble predatory talons. This design emphasizes vampires as hunters and predators, transforming hands into weapons visually even without mechanical benefits. Fur gauntlets, wrapped construction. Fur gauntlets are literally wrapped animal hide bound with leather strips, representing the simplest possible glove construction. This primitive design makes sense for frontier communities lacking sophisticated tanning facilities or metalworking capabilities. The Falmer hardened helmet chitin plates. Falmer hardened helmets use overlapping chitin plates, creating scale-like patterns. This construction method suggests the blind Falmer have developed sophisticated armor crafting through touch alone, achieving effective protection without relying on visual design. Ebony gauntlets, silver trim. Ebony gauntlets feature intricate silver trim work, highlighting their elegant yet deadly design. The contrast between black ebony and bright silver creates striking visual appeal that makes these gauntlets recognizable, even when mixed with other armor pieces. The Ancient Shrouded Cowl Enhancement. The Ancient Shrouded Cowl is a direct upgrade to the regular Shrouded Cowl, offering better enchantments for assassins. This improved version rewards players who pursue the optional Dark Brotherhood side content, providing tangible benefits beyond the main questline. Steel plate gauntlets, riveted construction. Steel plate gauntlets show visible rivet work holding the metal plates together, displaying construction methods rarely depicted in fantasy armor. This realistic detail makes steel plate feel like actual manufactured equipment rather than magically conjured protection. The Dawnguard Heavy Gauntlets. Crossguard. Dawnguard Heavy Gauntlets incorporate small crossguards on the wrists, reflecting the Order's religious foundation. These religious symbols remind vampire hunters that they're fighting a holy war, not just hunting monsters for practical reasons. Nightingale Hood Shadow Weave. The Nightingale Hood appears to be woven from literal shadows, creating an unnaturally dark fabric that seems to absorb light. This visual effect reinforces Nocturnal's domain over darkness and shadow, making the armor feel touched by Daedric power. The Bone Mold. Heavy helmet chitinous design. Bone mold heavy helmets feature chitinous plating that protects while maintaining visibility. Despite Solstheim's harsh environment, these helmets prioritize peripheral vision over full face coverage, suggesting Redguard practical design philosophy influenced Dunmer armor evolution. Dragonscale Boots Dragonclaw Soles. Dragonscale boots have soles textured like dragon claws, providing traction while symbolically allowing wearers to walk in dragon footsteps. This design detail adds narrative significance to practical footwear, connecting the wearer to the dragons whose scales form the armor. The Guildmaster Boots Reinforced Soles. Thieves Guildmaster boots feature reinforced soles for silent movement across various surfaces. This practical detail suggests the Guildmaster needs versatility for personally handling the most challenging infiltrations, not just delegating to underlings. Vampire Light Helmet. Noble design. Vampire Light helmets feature graceful curves and minimal face coverage, prioritizing aesthetic nobility over maximum protection. This design philosophy reflects a vampire confidence in their supernatural abilities, making heavy armor unnecessary. The Penitus Oculatus Hood Imperial Loyalty. Penitus Oculatus hoods mark wearers as Emperor's personal guards and enforcers. The hood's design combines function and imperial symbolism, creating instantly recognizable imperial authority while maintaining operational flexibility for secret police work. Shrouded Hood Assassin Anonymity. The Shrouded Hood's deep cowl creates complete facial anonymity, essential for assassins working in the shadows. This design makes Dark Brotherhood members interchangeable shadows rather than individual identities, reinforcing their role as instruments of death rather than people. The Dawnguard Light Helmet Vampire Vision. Dawnguard light helmets have open-face designs allowing full visibility, essential when hunting vampires in dark castle crypts. This practical design choice prioritizes awareness over protection, trusting skill, and reflexes over armor thickness. Orcish Boots, Heavy Tread. Orcish boots feature heavy treads and reinforced construction, suggesting they're designed for marching long distances, carrying heavy loads. This practical design reflects Orc culture's warrior traditions, where endurance matters as much as combat prowess. The Blackguard's Hood, Solstheim Shadow. Blackguard's hood is darker and more menacing than regular Thieves' Guild hoods, reflecting Solstheim's harsher criminal elements. This regional variant suggests Thieves' Guilds in different locations develop distinct styles adapted to local needs and aesthetics. Elven Light Helmet. Elegant Curves. Elven light helmets feature flowing curves and graceful lines, prioritizing beauty alongside protection. This design philosophy reflects Ultima belief that craftsmanship should elevate both function and form to achieve perfection. The Hide Hood, Simple Necessity. Hide hoods are simple leather hoods, providing basic head protection for those who can't afford better. Their crude construction and minimal protection reflect frontier poverty, where any armor is better than none. Steel Helmet. Open face design. Steel helmets leave faces completely exposed, prioritizing identification and communication over protection. This design choice suggests Nord culture values seeing warriors' faces, allowing glory and shame to be witnessed openly during battle. The Vampire Ancient Hood Lost content. Vampire Ancient Hood exists in game files, but never appears during normal gameplay, suggesting a cut middle tier of vampire equipment. This lost content hints at more complex vampire hierarchy that was simplified before release. Daedric Helmet Horn Design. Daedric helmets feature prominent horns curved to suggest demonic influence, making wearers appear as servants of Daedric princes. These horns serve no practical purpose, but create instant recognition and terror, showing how appearance can be a weapon itself. The Cultist Hood Tentacle Patterns. Cultist hoods feature subtle tentacle patterns woven into the fabric, foreshadowing Hermaeus Mora's influence. These patterns are easy to miss, but add subliminal, unsettling aesthetics that communicate corruption without being obvious. Glass Helmet Crystal Structure. Glass helmets appear carved from single crystals rather than assembled from pieces, suggesting magical growth processes. This seamless construction makes glass helmets feel organic, despite being armor, blurring lines between natural and artificial. The Stalrim Light Hood Frost Power. Stalrim light hoods made from enchanted ice somehow provide protection without melting. This magical impossibility reinforces Stalrim as fundamentally different from normal materials, existing at the intersection of nature and magic. Dragonplate Helmet Dragon Skull. Dragonplate helmets are literally formed from dragon skulls, making wearers appear draconic. This transformation from skull to helmet represents ultimate domination. wearing defeated enemies' remains as trophies while gaining their protective strength. The fur hood barbarian simplicity. Fur hoods are simple animal hide head coverings, representing basic survival crafting. Their crude construction reflects frontier necessity, where appearance matters less than basic protection from harsh weather and opportunistic blows. Nordic carved helmet. Ancient traditions. Nordic carved helmets feature intricate traditional patterns telling stories through decoration. These helmets are art pieces as much as armor, suggesting Nordsmiths view equipment crafting as cultural preservation through metalwork. The ancient farmer helmet missing piece. Ancient farmer helmets don't exist as obtainable items, with Arch-Curate Vertha wearing the ancient farmer crown instead. This omission leaves the ancient farmer set incomplete, frustrating completionists who want the full snow elf armor experience. Thieves' Guild hood identity concealment. Thieves' Guild hoods provide just enough face concealment for anonymity, while maintaining peripheral vision essential for situational awareness during heists. This balance between concealment and visibility shows practical design considerations for working criminals. The Morag Tong hood distinctive design. Morag Tong hoods have unique shapes distinguishing them from other assassin hoods, reflecting different cultural approaches to assassination. Where Dark Brotherhood emphasizes shadow and terror, Morag Tong hoods suggest professional legitimacy through distinctive style. Wolf hood companion identity. Wolf hoods mark wearers as companions while providing minimal protection, suggesting the guild values identification over defense. The hood's openness shows companions have nothing to hide, fighting openly rather than lurking in shadows like thieves or assassins. The Imperial Light hood officer. Distinction. Imperial Light officer hoods have additional details distinguishing them from regular Imperial hoods. These subtle differences communicate rank within the Legion's light armor division, maintaining military hierarchy through equipment variety. Scaled hood dragon scale pattern. Scaled hoods feature overlapping scale patterns mimicking dragon hide, despite containing no actual dragon materials. This deceptive design makes scaled armor appear more impressive than its construction materials justify, serving as poor man's dragon scale. The Shrouded Ancient Hood enhancement. Shrouded Ancient Hood is a direct upgrade to regular shrouded hoods, offering superior enchantments. This improvement rewards players who pursue Brotherhood side content beyond the main quest line, providing tangible benefits for thoroughness. Forsworn headdress. Bone structure. Forsworn headdresses use animal bones and feathers, creating distinctive tribal aesthetics. These headdresses mark wearers as reachmen, while providing surprisingly effective protection through shamanic enchantments rather than conventional construction. The Stormcloak helmet bear symbol. Stormcloak helmets prominently display Skyrim's bear symbol, instantly marking wearers as rebels fighting for Nordic independence. This clear faction identification makes Stormcloaks recognizable from any angle, essential for avoiding friendly fire in chaotic battles. Dwarven helmet mechanical aesthetic. Dwarven helmets feature mechanical elements suggesting Dwemer influence in their construction. While not actual Dwemer crafts, these helmets incorporate recycled Dwemer parts, explaining their distinctive industrial appearance compared to other armor types. The Bone Mold Light Hood Dunmer design. Bone Mold light hoods reflect traditional Dunmer aesthetics, adapted to Solstheim's harsh climate. The design balances cultural identity with practical protection, showing how displaced Dunmer maintain traditions while adapting to new circumstances. Ebony Hood Elegant Darkness. Ebony hoods combine elegant design with sinister black coloration, creating sophisticated villain aesthetics. This balance between beauty and menace makes ebony hoods perfect for characters who want to look dangerous without appearing crude or barbaric. The Dawnguard Light Hood Vampire Hunter. Dawnguard light hoods protect vampire hunters while maintaining visibility essential in dark dungeons. The hood's practical design prioritizes function over intimidation, reflecting the vampire hunter's workmanlike approach to supernatural threat elimination. Chitin Heavy Hood. Insect protection. Chitin heavy hoods made from harvested insect shells provide surprisingly effective protection. This biological armor demonstrates how Solstime's harsh environment forces creative use of available materials, turning bugs into defensive equipment. The Vampire Light Hood. Noble Shadow. Vampire light hoods create elegant shadows across faces while maintaining aristocratic appearance. This balance between concealment and nobility reflects vampire society's focus on sophisticated predation rather than monstrous savagery. Hide Helmet Animal Head. Hide helmets are literally animal heads worn as primitive helmets, creating visceral tribal aesthetics. This brutal pragmatism makes hide helmets feel barbaric and survival-focused, perfect for characters who embrace primal warfare styles. The Cultist Hood Mirak Allegiance. Cultist hoods mark wearers as Mirak servants, creating instant enemy identification for players. However, wearing these hoods yourself sends confusing messages to NPCs, who somehow still recognize you as Dragonborn despite your cultist appearance. Steel Plate Hood Practical Design. Steel plate hoods provide minimal head protection compared to full helmets, prioritizing mobility and awareness. This lightweight approach suggests steel plate is designed for skilled fighters who rely more on dodging than absorbing hits. The Nightingale Hood Nocturnal Gift. Nightingale hoods are blessed by Nocturnal personally, explaining their exceptional enchantments. This divine touch makes them more than mere equipment, transforming the hoods into semi-religious artifacts that channel Daedric power through fabric. Orcish Hood Heavy Protection. Orcish hoods provide heavier protection than most hoods despite their relatively simple appearance. This effectiveness reflects Orsimer smithing expertise, showing how their practical approach to armor crafting prioritizes function over flashy decoration. The Guildmaster Hood Legendary Status. Thieves' Guildmaster hoods mark wearers as guild leaders, commanding respect from thieves across Skyrim. This social power is mechanical in addition to cosmetic, since wearing the Guildmaster equipment affects how guild members interact with the player. Glass Hood Crystal Transparency. Glass hoods appear semi-transparent when light hits them correctly, creating ethereal aesthetics. This unusual material property makes glass armor feel magical and otherworldly, perfect for characters who want equipment that looks as unusual as it is effective. The Vampire Royal Hood. Aristocratic Power. Vampire Royal hoods combine noble aesthetics with predatory menace, reflecting Castle Volkihar's aristocratic vampire culture. These hoods are fashion statements as much as protection, showing how vampire nobility uses appearance to display status and power. Dragon Scale. Hood Dragon Heritage. Dragon Scale hoods are crafted from dragon scales, literally making wearers wear dragon skin on their heads. This intimate connection to dragon remains creates psychological intimidation beyond just the armor's protective properties, showing dominance over dragonkind. The Former Hood Blind Creation. Former hoods are crafted by blind creatures using touch alone, making their construction even more remarkable. These hoods prove the former retain impressive crafting abilities despite their degeneration, suggesting intelligence persists beneath monstrous appearance. Ancient Shrouded Hood Enhancement. Ancient Shrouded Hoods provide superior enchantments compared to regular Brotherhood hoods. This upgrade demonstrates how the Dark Brotherhood's ancient traditions produced better equipment than modern Brotherhood crafting, implying lost knowledge over centuries. Stalhrim Heavy Hood Frozen Protection. Stalhrim heavy hoods made from enchanted ice provide protection without the weight of metal. This impossible material defies logical armor construction, existing as magical ice that somehow doesn't melt when worn by warm-blooded creatures producing body heat. The Imperial Hood Legion Unity. Imperial hoods create uniform appearance across the Legion's light armor forces, reinforcing military discipline through standardization. This consistency helps distinguish Legion soldiers from civilian populace and irregular forces, serving identification purposes beyond just protection. Elven Hood. Ultima Grace. Elven hoods feature flowing fabric and elegant curves reflecting high elf aesthetic values. Even in combat gear, Ultima prioritize beauty alongside function, showing how cultural values influence armor design across every piece, including simple hoods. The Blackguard Hood Thieves variant. Blackguard hoods represent Solstheim's criminal element, darker and more aggressive than Riften's Thieves Guild aesthetics. This regional variation suggests Thieves Guilds adapt their appearance to local culture, with Solstheim's harsh environment producing harsher criminal fashion. Daedric Boots. Demonic Design. Daedric boots feature spiked toes and demonic styling, making wearers' footsteps appear cloven and monstrous. This design creates psychological warfare, where even footprints suggest supernatural evil, terrorizing enemies before battle even begins. The Cultist Boots. Mirak Service. Cultist boots mark wearers as Mirak servants through their distinctive wrapped styling and dark colors. These boots communicate allegiance before speech, allowing cultists to recognize each other while intimidating non-believers through unified appearance. Nightingale Boots. Shadow Walking. Nightingale boots are designed for absolute silence, with muffle enchantments allowing wearers to walk on any surface without sound. This supernatural silence makes nightingales literal shadows, present but unheard, as they execute Nocturnal's will. The Guildmaster. Boots. Legendary Thief. Guildmaster. Boots represent the pinnacle of thieves' crafting, combining protection with agility and silence. Wearing these boots marks the player as Skyrim's premier thief, commanding respect from criminals while remaining invisible to law enforcement. Vampire Royal Boots. Castle. Walking. Vampire Royal Boots are designed for silent movement through Castle Volkihar's stone corridors. Their elegant construction allows vampires to stalk prey through their own castle, while maintaining aristocratic appearance befitting their noble status. The Deathbrand Boots. Pirate Legend. Deathbrand boots belong to a legendary pirate and still carry his infamous reputation. Wearing these boots connects the player to Solstheim's criminal history, literally walking in the footsteps of one of the island's most feared raiders. Shrouded Boots Assassin. Silence. Shrouded boots provide muffle effects essential for Dark Brotherhood assassins approaching sleeping targets. These boots transform walking into floating, allowing killers to position themselves for perfect strikes without alerting victims to impending death. The Wolf Boots Companion Endurance. Wolf boots are designed for companions who fight extensively and need durable footwear. While not the most protective boots available, their construction prioritizes durability for warriors who who can't afford equipment failure during extended combat. Dragon plate boots, dragon dominance. Dragon plate boots are crafted from dragon bones, making every step a reminder of dragon-slaying prowess. This psychological effect reinforces the wearer's power, broadcasting dominance over dragonkind through armor that literally stands on defeated dragons. The ancient former boots. Snow Elf. Ancient former boots represent the last remnants of Snow Elf culture before their corruption. These boots show what farmer craftsmanship achieved before their downfall, serving as tragic reminders of lost civilization through functional footwear. Ebony boots. Silent death. Ebony boots combine heavy protection with surprisingly quiet movement, considering their weight. This balance between defense and stealth makes them perfect for heavily armored assassins who need to approach targets silently despite wearing full plate. The Dawn Guard. Heavy boots. Crusader. Dawn Guard heavy boots are built for crusaders marching into vampire lairs. Their reinforced construction protects against attacks from below, while providing traction on castle stones, slick with century-old blood and decay. Orcish boots, stronghold march. Orcish boots are designed for long marches between strongholds across Skyrim's harsh terrain. Their heavy construction and reinforced soles reflect Orsimer culture's emphasis on endurance, making these boots ideal for warriors who measure strength through suffering. The Thieves' Guild boots rooftop. Running. Thieves' Guild boots are specifically designed for running across Riften's rooftops during heists. Their flexible construction allows quick movement while maintaining enough protection to survive unexpected combat encounters during jobs. Steel plate boots. Practical armor. Steel plate boots. Balance protection with mobility, representing practical military footwear. These boots are designed for soldiers who need to march long distances and then fight effectively, prioritizing sustained performance over maximum protection. The Vampire Light Boots Predator Grace. Vampire light boots allow silent stalking while maintaining elegant appearance. These boots reflect vampire philosophy, where predation should be graceful art form, rather than crude butchery, combining function with noble aesthetics. Forsworn boots. Tribal survival. Forsworn boots are crafted from basic materials available in the Reach, representing tribal resourcefulness. Despite primitive appearance, shamanic enchantments make these boots surprisingly effective, proving magic can compensate for material limitations. The Stormcloak Boots Rebellion March. Stormcloak boots are designed for rebel soldiers marching across Skyrim to fight the Empire. Their construction prioritizes durability for sustained campaign warfare, reflecting the Stormcloak's need for reliable equipment despite limited resources. Glass boots. Crystal stepping. Glass boots appear crystalline and fragile, but provide excellent protection through magical reinforcement. This seeming fragility contrasts with actual durability, making glass armor a statement about appearances deceiving and magic transcending material limitations. The scaled boots budget. Protection. Scaled boots offer decent protection at affordable prices, making them popular with soldiers and adventurers on budgets. Their accessibility reflects Skyrim's economy, where not everyone can afford legendary equipment, yet still needs functional armor. Hide boots frontier necessity. Hide boots represent absolute basic footwear crafted from readily available materials. These boots are what frontier settlers and struggling adventurers wear when they can't afford better, proving any protection beats barefoot vulnerability. The studded Imperial Boots officer status. Studded Imperial boots mark officers within Legion ranks through subtle decorative additions. These extra details create visual hierarchy without compromising practicality, allowing soldiers to identify superiors even in chaotic battle conditions. Elven boots, ultimate elegance. Elven boots combine protection with beautiful curved designs reflecting high elf aesthetic values. Even footwear becomes art in Altmer culture, showing their belief that all crafted items should achieve perfection in both form and function. The bone mold boots Dunmer adaptation. Bone mold boots represent Dunmer armor traditions adapted to Solstheim's available materials. The substitution of chitin for traditional bone shows how displaced Dunmer maintained cultural identity while pragmatically using local resources. Dwarven boots mechanical sound. Dwarven boots produce distinctive mechanical sounds when walking, created by Dwemer metal components. This audible signature makes stealth difficult, but announces the wearer's presence with sounds suggesting advanced craftsmanship and recovered ancient technology. The Farmer Hardened Boots evolution. Farmer Hardened boots represent an intermediate stage between basic and heavy farmer armor. This progression suggests the blind farmer are developing more sophisticated crafting techniques, implying intelligence and adaptation despite their monstrous transformation. Fur boots. Simple wrapping. Fur boots are simply wrapped animal hide bound with leather strips, representing the most basic possible footwear construction. This primitive simplicity makes them accessible to anyone with basic materials, explaining their ubiquity among bandits and poor settlers. The Blackguard boots, criminal Solstheim. Blackguard boots represent Solstheim's criminal underworld, darker and more aggressive than mainland thieves' equipment. These boots suggest that Solstheim's harsh environment produces harsher criminals who need more protective equipment than Riften's urban thieves. Nordic carved boots. Ancient art. Nordic carved boots feature traditional patterns telling stories through metalwork decoration. These boots are functional art pieces, demonstrating how Nordsmiths view equipment as cultural preservation through continued practice of ancient crafting techniques. The Ancient Shrouded Boots legacy. Ancient Shrouded Boots represent the Dark Brotherhood's older, more powerful equipment. Their superior enchantments suggest the Brotherhood's ancient traditions produced better gear than modern incarnation, hinting at organizational decline over centuries. Chitin Heavy Boots insect armor. Chitin heavy boots made from bug shells provide surprisingly effective protection, despite their biological origin. This demonstrates Solstheim's resourcefulness, turning the island's abundant insect life into viable armor materials through schooled crafting. The Stalrim Light Boots, ice stepping. Stalrim light boots made from enchanted ice somehow provide protection without melting or cracking. This magical impossibility makes Stalrim one of Skyrim's most fantastical materials, existing at the intersection of natural phenomena and supernatural power. Dragon Scale Boots, Dragon Treading. Dragon Scale boots are crafted from dragon scales, literally making wearers walk on dragon remains. This intimate connection to slain dragons creates psychological effects beyond just protection statistics, broadcasting the wearer's dragon hunting prowess through their footsteps. The Penitus Oculatus Boots, Secret Police. Penitus Oculatus boots mark wearers as Imperial Secret Police and Emperor's personal guards. These boots combine Imperial military tradition with adaptations for covert operations, balancing visible authority with operational flexibility for undercover work. Shrouded Ancient Boots Brotherhood power. Shrouded Ancient Boots represent the Dark Brotherhood's most powerful footwear, offering superior enchantments to standard equipment. These boots reward players who pursue Brotherhood side content beyond main questline, providing tangible benefits for thorough exploration. The Morag Tong Boots, Assassin Alternative. Morag Tong boots represent an alternative assassination tradition to the Dark Brotherhood. These boots reflect different cultural approaches to professional killing, where Morag Tong emphasizes legal sanction over shadowy terrorism. Imperial Light Boots, Legion Mobility. Imperial Light Boots are designed for Legion scouts and skirmishers needing mobility over maximum protection. These boots reflect the Empire's tactical diversity, showing how professional military forces adapt equipment to different combat roles, rather than one-size-fits-all approaches. The Cultist Gloves Tentacle Touch. Cultist gloves feature subtle tentacle patterns suggesting Hermaeus Mora's corrupting influence. These gloves mark wearers as servants of forbidden knowledge, with designs that become more unsettling the longer you examine them. Nightingale Gloves. Shadow Fingers. Nightingale gloves seem woven from living shadows, creating hands that disappear into darkness. These gloves are perfect for pickpocketing, making the hands themselves nearly invisible as they slip into pockets and pouches undetected. The Guildmaster Gloves, Master Thief. Guildmaster gloves represent the pinnacle of thieves' hand protection, offering superior pickpocket bonuses. Wearing these gloves marks the player as Skyrim's greatest thief, with fingers so skilled they can lift anything from anyone without detection. Vampire Royal Gloves, Noble Claws. Vampire Royal Gloves feature claw-like fingernails transforming hands into elegant weapons. These gloves combine aristocratic appearance with predatory function, showing how vampire nobility maintains sophistication even while embracing monstrous nature. The Deathbrand Gauntlets, Legendary Pirate. Deathbrand Gauntlets belong to Solstheim's most feared pirate and still carry his notorious reputation. Wearing these gauntlets connects the player to criminal legend, literally using the same hands that once terrorized the northern seas. Shrouded Gloves, Silent Hands. Shrouded gloves allow assassins to manipulate objects and lockpicks without sound. These gloves transform hands into silent tools of death, essential for Dark Brotherhood members who must open locks and prepare poisons without alerting nearby guards or victims. The Wolf Gauntlets. Companion Strength. Wolf Gauntlets are designed for companions who fight in close combat using weapons and fists. While not the most protective gauntlets available, their construction prioritizes grip and weapon handling over maximum armor plating. Dragon Plate Gauntlets. Dragon Grip. Dragon Plate Gauntlets feature Dragon Claw, designs making hands appear draconic. These gauntlets psychologically transform wearers into dragon-like beings, broadcasting power through appearance that mirrors the dragons whose bones form the armor. The Ancient Former Gauntlets. Snow Elf. Ancient Former Gauntlets represent sophisticated Snow Elf craftsmanship before their corruption. These gauntlets show the artistry and skill Former possessed before their fall, serving as tragic reminders of lost civilization through functional equipment. Ebony Gauntlets. Dark Power. Ebony gauntlets combine heavy protection with dark aesthetic, creating hands that appear capable of crushing anything. The black ebony and silver inlay work makes these gauntlets as much fashion statements as functional protection. The Dawnguard Heavy Gauntlets. Vampire Slaying. Dawnguard Heavy Gauntlets are reinforced for punching vampires and breaking through castle doors. Their heavy construction reflects the vampire hunter's aggressive approach, favoring overwhelming force over subtle technique. Orcish gauntlets. Orc strength. Orcish gauntlets feature prominent spikes and heavy construction reflecting awesomer emphasis on raw power. These gauntlets look capable of crushing bones with grip alone, even before considering the orc wearing them. The Thieves' Guild gloves. Picking fingers. Thieves' Guild gloves are specifically designed with reinforced fingertips for lockpicking and delicate manipulation. These gloves protect hands while maintaining the sensitivity needed for opening locks and detecting trap mechanisms through touch alone. Steel plate gauntlets. Military standard. Steel plate gauntlets represent practical military hand protection, balancing cost, protection, and manufacturing feasibility. These gauntlets show how professional armies standardize equipment for large-scale production while maintaining combat effectiveness. The Vampire Light Gloves. Elegant predation. Vampire Light Gloves allow silent manipulation while maintaining aristocratic appearance. These gloves reflect vampire philosophy, where even hunting gear should be beautiful, combining deadly function with noble aesthetic. Forsworn gauntlets. Tribal crafting. Forsworn gauntlets are crafted from basic materials, yet provide effective protection through shamanic enchantments. These gauntlets prove that magic and skill can overcome material limitations, validating the Reachman's rejection of conventional smithing. The Stormcloak gauntlets. Rebel protection. Stormcloak gauntlets are designed for rebel soldiers fighting the Empire with limited resources. Their construction prioritizes functionality over appearance, reflecting the Stormcloak's focus on practical liberation over ceremonial display. Glass gauntlets. Crystal hands. Glass gauntlets appear crystalline and fragile, but provide excellent protection through magical reinforcement. The transparent quality makes hands visible through the armor, creating ethereal aesthetics that seem more magical than protective. The Scaled gloves. Affordable quality. Scaled gloves offer decent protection at affordable prices, making them accessible to common soldiers and adventurers. Their ubiquity throughout Skyrim reflects realistic economics, where most people can't afford legendary equipment. Hide gloves. Wrapped leather. Hide gloves are simply wrapped leather strips bound around hands, representing the most basic possible hand protection. This primitive construction makes them accessible to anyone with basic materials and minimal crafting skill. The Studded Imperial Gloves Officer Marks. Studded Imperial gloves mark officers through subtle decorative additions not present on standard Legion gloves. These extra details create visual rank distinctions, allowing soldiers to identify commanders even when separated from units. Elven gloves. Altma Beauty. Elven gloves feature golden filigree and elegant curves reflecting high elf belief that even gloves should be artworks. This dedication to beauty in functional items shows Altma culture's refusal to compromise aesthetics for practicality. The Bone Mold Gloves, Dunmer Tradition. Bone Mold gloves represent Dunmer armor traditions maintained on Solstheim, despite displacement from Morrowind. The adaptation of chitin materials shows how refugees preserve cultural identity while pragmatically using available resources. Dwarven Gauntlets. Mechanical construction. Dwarven gauntlets feature visible mechanical components, suggesting Dwemer influence despite being post-disappearance crafts. These gauntlets incorporate recovered Dwemer parts, explaining their distinctive industrial appearance and metallic complexity. The Farmer-hardened gauntlets. Evolutionary armor. This intermediate stage suggests the blind Falmer continued developing crafting sophistication, implying intelligence persists beneath monstrous appearance. Fur gauntlets wrapped survival. Fur gauntlets are wrapped animal hide bound with strips, representing frontier survival crafting. These gauntlets provide basic protection using readily available materials, perfect for settlers and bandits who can't access sophisticated smithing. The Blackguard gloves. Criminal power. Blackguard gloves represent Solstheim's criminal underworld equipment, darker and more protective than mainland thieves' gear. These gloves suggest Solstheim's harsh environment produces criminals needing better protection than urban thieves. Nordic carved gauntlets. Artistic function. Nordic carved gauntlets feature traditional patterns, making them functional artworks. These gauntlets demonstrate how Nordsmiths view equipment as cultural preservation, continuing ancient crafting traditions through modern practical applications. The ancient shrouded gloves. Superior enchantment. Ancient shrouded gloves offer superior enchantments compared to regular Dark Brotherhood equipment. These gloves represent the Brotherhood's older, more powerful traditions, suggesting organizational knowledge loss over centuries of decline. Chitin heavy gauntlets. Insect protection. Chitin heavy gauntlets made from bug shells provide effective protection despite biological origin. These gauntlets demonstrate resourceful use of Solstheim's abundant insect life, turning local pests into viable armor through skilled crafting. The Stalrim light gloves, frozen hands. Stalrim light gloves made from enchanted ice somehow protect without melting from body heat. This magical impossibility makes Stalrim fundamentally fantastical, existing where natural laws bend to supernatural influence. Dragon scale gloves. Dragon touch. Dragon scale gloves are crafted from dragon scales, making hands literally wear dragon skin. This intimate connection to slain dragons creates psychological effects beyond statistics, broadcasting dragon hunting prowess through hands that touch defeated beasts. The Penitus Oculatus gloves, Imperial secret. Penitus Oculatus gloves mark wearers as Emperor's secret police, combining imperial military tradition with covert operation adaptations. These gloves balance authority with flexibility, serving both ceremonial and operational purposes. Shrouded Ancient Gloves Brotherhood legacy. Shrouded Ancient Gloves represent the Dark Brotherhood's most powerful hand protection with superior enchantments. These gloves reward thorough Brotherhood questline exploration, providing tangible benefits beyond main story completion. The Morag Tong Gloves Alternative Assassins. Morag Tong gloves represent different assassination traditions than the Dark Brotherhood. These gloves reflect cultural differences in professional killing, emphasizing legal sanction over terror tactics. Imperial Light Gloves. Legion Scouts. Imperial Light Gloves are designed for Legion Scouts needing mobility and dexterity over maximum protection. These gloves show military adaptation to different combat roles rather than one-size-fits-all standardization. The Armor Cap achievement. Skyrim's Armor Cap of 567. Displayed rating creates an upper limit where additional armor provides no benefit. This cap means that properly enchanted and upgraded dragon scale armor equals Daedric protection despite lower base stats, making material choice about aesthetics at endgame. Tempering Mechanics Armor. Quality. Tempering armor through smithing creates quality tiers from fine to legendary, each improving protection. The multiplicative nature of smithing improvements means materials that start stronger gain more from tempering, creating exponential power curves. The matching set perks. Wearing 4 pieces of matching armor type grants 25% bonus armor rating through perks. This encourages thematic builds and rewards players who commit to specific armor aesthetics, rather than mixing pieces purely for optimization. Enchantment slot values. Each armor piece provides an enchantment slot with equivalent power regardless of the base item. This means enchantments on leather armor are just as strong as on Daedric, creating situations where low-tier armor with perfect enchantments outperforms higher-tier unenchanted equipment. The Arcane Blacksmith necessity. The Arcane Blacksmith perk is required to improve enchanted armor at workbenches. Without this perk, all enchanted armor is stuck at base quality, making the perk essential for anyone using looted or crafted enchanted equipment. Light armor stamina. Benefits. Light armor weighs less than heavy armor, resulting in lower stamina drain during sprinting and reduced movement penalties. This mobility advantage makes light armor superior for characters prioritizing speed over maximum protection. The heavy armor stagger resistance. Heavy armor provides inherent stagger resistance through mass alone, making wearers harder to interrupt during combat. This hidden benefit doesn't appear in stats, but significantly affects combat effectiveness by allowing heavy armor users to trade blows more effectively. Armor weight movement penalties. Total armor weight affects movement speed, with heavier equipment slowing characters proportionally. The Steed Stone eliminates this penalty, making heavy armor viable for characters who previously avoided it due to mobility concerns. The Fortify armor enchantments. Fortify heavy armor and fortify light armor. Enchantments increase skill level rather than armor rating. This indirect benefit improves both armor effectiveness and perk effectiveness, creating synergies that reward specialized builds over hybrid approaches. Shield block mechanics. Shields provide additional armor rating and block damage reduction, but blocking requires stamina. This creates resource management decisions where players must balance stamina for blocking against stamina for power attacks and sprinting. The dual-wielding armor sacrifice. Dual-wielding weapons prevent shield use, sacrificing significant armor rating and block potential for increased damage output. This trade-off creates distinct playstyles where dual wielders prioritize offense while shield users balance defense and damage. Armor breaking mechanics. Unlike previous Elder Scrolls games, Skyrim armor doesn't degrade or break during use. This removal of repair mechanics simplifies equipment management, but removes the realism and maintenance considerations that added depth to earlier games. The questline armor rewards. Major questlines reward unique armor sets like Nightingale Dawnguard and Ancient Shrouded. These rewards encourage questline completion beyond just story satisfaction, providing tangible power increases that justify time investment in faction content. Leveled armor acquisition. Many unique armor sets scale to player level when obtained, permanently locking their stats. This system punishes early acquisition and rewards waiting to claim rewards at higher levels, creating metagaming. Considerations about optimal quest timing. The Dragon Priest Mask power. Dragon Priest masks are classified as heavy armor helmets, providing both protection and powerful unique enchantments. Their combination of defense and magical benefits makes them endgame headwear for both warrior and mage builds. Follower armor customization. Followers can be equipped with any armor through inventory trading, allowing players to outfit companions in complete matching sets. This customization creates visual party unity and optimizes follower effectiveness for their combat roles. The mannequin duplication glitch. Mannequins in player homes sometimes duplicate equipped armor through a long-standing bug. While unintentional, this glitch allows players to obtain multiple copies of unique armor sets that should be singular acquisitions. Armor display collections. Player homes with armor displays encourage collecting complete sets for aesthetic display. This metagame of collection motivates players to acquire and preserve armor beyond just using the strongest available equipment. The clothing armor. Distinction. Clothing like robes doesn't count as armor for perk purposes, despite sometimes having armor ratings. This classification affects mage armor perk functionality and enchantment compatibility, creating important mechanical distinctions between similar-looking items. Armor value formula complexity. Skyrim's armor rating calculation involves complex formulas considering base rating, smithing improvements, skill levels, perks, and enchantments. Understanding these mechanics allows players to optimize protection beyond simply wearing the highest base-rated equipment. The armor cap calculation. Reaching the 5 and 67 displayed armor cap requires approximately 333 base armor rating before skill and perk multipliers. This mathematical relationship means properly perked and improved mid-tier armor can hit the cap, making endgame material choice purely aesthetic. Cuirass rating dominance. The body cuirass provides the highest armor rating of any single piece, typically 40-50% of total set protection. This concentration means cuirass choice matters more than other pieces, making it the priority for smithing improvements and enchantments. The hidden armor formula. Behind displayed armor rating exists a hidden formula where each point reduces incoming physical damage by 0.12%. At the 567 cap, players achieve 80% physical damage reduction, the maximum possible in Skyrim's combat system. Shield armor rating addition. Shields add their armor rating to total displayed armor, counting toward the armor cap separately from worn armor pieces. This addition means shield users reach the cap more easily, providing defensive advantage over dual wielders beyond just active blocking. The armor weight threshold. The Steed Stone completely negates worn armor weight, effectively adding 100 plus carry capacity for heavily armored characters. This transformation makes the stone essential for heavy armor builds prioritizing inventory management and mobility. Stamina drain armor weight. Heavier total armor weight increases stamina drain during sprinting proportionally. This hidden cost makes light armor superior for characters relying on mobility, especially when combined with stamina-intensive power attacks and shield bashing. The conditioning perk value. The heavy armor. Conditioning perk eliminates movement penalties from armor weight, effectively making legendary Daedric armor weightless for movement purposes. This late-game perk transforms heavy armor from mobility liability to pure advantage. Armor skill experience. Gain. Light and heavy armor skills increase when taking hits while wearing respective armor types. This experience system rewards tanking damage, incentivizing players to occasionally take hits rather than perfectly avoiding all damage through blocking. The well-fitted perk math. The well-fitted perks reduce incoming damage rather than increasing armor rating, providing benefits even after hitting the armor cap. This makes them valuable for all builds, not just those struggling to reach maximum protection. Armor-breaking power attacks. Some enemy power attacks ignore armor rating percentages, dealing guaranteed minimum damage. This mechanic prevents armor from trivializing all combat, ensuring even perfectly protected characters remain vulnerable to specific attack types. The unarmored mage build. Mage armor perks from the alteration tree, provides substantial damage reduction when wearing no armor pieces. This build creates glass cannon mages trading all physical protection for maximum magical power through unhindered spellcasting. Armor enchantment. Stacking. Multiple fortify armor enchantments on different equipment pieces stack multiplicatively with perks. This stacking allows characters to far exceed the armor cap's usefulness, though providing no benefit once the 80% damage reduction maximum is reached. The armor rating display bug. The inventory screen sometimes displays incorrect armor ratings after removing equipment with fortify enchantments. This visual bug confuses players tracking their actual protection levels, requiring zone transitions to refresh displayed values correctly.